Barbershop Conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram. Click the link in the description box. And you know, that that kid that was murdered earlier today kind of moved me. Seeing a lifeless body slumped over in the car in real life. We see it in movies, we see it in video games, we see it on TV, but when you see it in real time, or not real time, but in real life, a real body, a real warm 20-year-old kid, at the end of the day, it's a 20-year-old kid. It's debilitating. And it bothers me that we would do such a thing to a 20-year-old kid. And honestly, I've never heard a song by him. I've I've seen him in he's trended a few times, so I've seen him on my timeline, but I don't even know what his voice sounds like. No, excuse me, forgive me. I just found out what his voice sounds like today. I've never heard him speak. I've never heard anything, but um, George Zimmerman is still alive. And if George Zimmerman is still alive, we should not be killing, murdering our black men. You understand what I'm saying? There are so many people that deserve something like this, and yet and still, we deserve to inflict pain upon people who look like us. And I'm just making an assumption. I don't know, but I would gather, my common sense would gather that it's someone of the hip hop culture. I don't know what race they are, but it's just beside me. If you are of the hip hop culture, I mean, Trayvon Martin deserves justice, right? Fred Garner, Mike Garner deserves Mike Garner, Mr. Garner deserves justice. You know, Rodney King, rest his soul, deserves justice, right? You know, and to take it a higher level, we have a responsibility to give back to our community. Besides going to the local store and paying our local tax. I don't care if you're a janitor. I don't care if you're a school teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, mayor. We have an obligation to inspire our community. When we see wrong, we got to massage in some places you got to massage the wrong to get to the right. In other places, you can just tell someone they're wrong. Gang members and people on the street, you got to massage them a little bit, to get them to come around. But if there's a young kid, you have the ability to immediately steer him in the right direction. And that's kind of the wavelength I'm on now. You know what I mean? Just wanting to help, wanting to inspire, encourage, give hope to places where there is none. And it's just debilitating. Being a parent and any story, granted that this is a famous person. I mean, yeah, he's a famous person. I went to his Instagram. He had millions and millions of followers. And I never followed him. It's just debilitating when you're a parent and you hear stories of 19-year-old kid killed, 17-year-old kid killed, 12-year-old kid murdered. It moves you, man. And it's day stopping. I just wish we would find a way to hash out our problems without being so finite, without being so final. There's no comeback from death. You guys have heard me say that before. That shouldn't be the end all. You know what I mean? I just wish and hope and pray and put my energies towards where we can go to a boxing gym, fight it out. If you lose, you lose, but you live to fight another day, right? And I saw all the people responding Well, I didn't see all of them, but I saw many people responding to the kid, to his death, and he was real popular. I never knew he was that popular. I've only seen him a handful of times, probably, but I never clicked on the link to hear him speak. I just saw his name, XXX something, you know, and he's gone. And we should be hurt as a community when things like this happen. I know this happens every day across America, but it's a galvanizing moment when it's someone of reverence, someone of power, someone of celebrity status, because it gives the victim and the crime a name, a face to it. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like there was Rosa Parks was the wife of someone in the NAACP, I believe. That's what gave it notoriety. But there were plenty of other people who went to jail for not wanting to give up their seat. But Rosa Parks had a name behind her. I think her husband was the president or some. I know he was a member of a black organization of power back then, if I'm not mistaken. So moments like that gives it some steam, gives it some, some gasoline. So we gotta find a way, y'all. The solution can't be murdering each other, man. I hope they find who did this, and I hope they make an example out of them. You know, if there was malice involved, I don't know if it was self-defense. If there was malice, make an example out of him. I just don't believe there should not be any. If there's 100% no doubt that the person did it, it shouldn't be no clemency with this person. It shouldn't. Throw the book at them. Throw the key away. You know, put them in a cell with Big Mike. You know what I mean? But a kid, that's not cool, man. And as I said earlier, George Zimmerman is still alive. The police officers that assaulted Rodney King is still alive. Garner, Eric Garner, the police officer that choked Eric Garner to death, is still alive. And yet and still we tote and be glad. We just we just walk around like it's acceptable for one to be derailed and coattailed and hurt and slaughtered by people who oppress us. And then the other side of the coin, hurt and kill ourselves. We deem that acceptable. We got to do better. We can do better. I know we will do better. You know, this weekend alone is proof that we should believe in humanity. I'm talking about my experience in Dallas. It's proof that we should believe in humanity. It was just a beautiful thing. And I urge and encourage us to believe in humanity, man. Trust our ability to love. Trust our ability to be vulnerable. Trust our ability to know that we can bounce back from a loss. We don't have to be so finite and final when we lose. You know? Tomorrow's always heals pride. Don't ever forget that. All right? You don't ever have to worry about that. Your pride will be healed tomorrow. Right? You know what I mean? You might be angry and prideful today, but tomorrow when the sun comes up and you've had time to think about it, or a week later, you've had time to think about it, you'll feel better about yourself and be glad that you didn't make those hasten, terrible decisions in that moment. Man, obviously the correct thing to say is to pray for the family, and all that would be true. We also got to create an action to solve these equations, these unanswerable math equations that we have in our community. one angry black man. I'm just talking about black because, you know, I believe it was a person of color who did this. I don't know. I'm being presumptuous, obviously. And when I say of color, I mean black or brown, Haitian, since it's in Florida, you know, um, from the island somewhere down there. Cuban, he could be Cuban, understand what I'm saying? So somewhere in there. But I know we can do better. I believe we can do better. It starts with us. So, anyways, man, I'll just say this again. George Zimmerman is still alive. The 4 police officers that assaulted Rodney King are still alive. The man who killed Mike Brown is still alive. The man who shot Castillo, the police officer who shot Castillo, is still alive. If you want to be a martyr, look at Lee Harvey Oswald. I forget the man's name. Joy. He murdered on camera Lee Harvey Oswald, and I believe he was acquitted. I mean, he died of this. Should be fresh in my head. I saw this past Friday. He was he was acquitted, I believe, and he ended up dying of some form of cancer, but he was acquitted of his crimes. He was a martyr. Not a murderer, he's a martyr. So anyways, man, barbershop comments. I'm kind of exhausted. My eyes are like shutting closed. It's early too. It's 1:05. I gotta do one more video. I want to do one more video on Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence. But man, I love y'all. I want y'all just to understand that. And I know I'm only talking to a handful of y'all, or maybe not. I don't know. But I grew up in a certain environment, and I know there was a point in my life, honestly, where I used my fist to solve the problem. My 10th grade year in college, I mean high school. My first year in high school. You know, I actually got kicked out of Washington High School for fighting. I hit a teacher. And it wasn't cool. It didn't feel good. I transferred to Fremont, and I hated every day I was in Fremont. Then I have to transfer to Venice High School. So that goes to show you, man, there's no reward for fighting. What your gang or your friends gonna pat you on the back? That's your reward? What, to get a video on World Star? That's the reward? Anyways, man, barbershop conversations, man. XXX. I don't even know the kid's name. Like I can see it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But I just feel bad for the family. I feel bad that he didn't get a chance to fulfill his potential here on Earth. I saw that meme where he was planning a give back this past weekend. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was amazing. So barbershop conversations, man. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Thank you. Peace.